Just go. That one is broke. It's not going to move.
Good job.
Ready to talk about poop? All right. Yes. Never heard more of a resounding excitement about poop. Listen, I'm Dr. Becky. For those of you, raise your hand just because I didn't analyze you before I came from the back. Raise your hand real quick if you are not a patient in this office on a regular basis. Just raise your hand real quick. You're not going to have to come to the front or anything. I just want to know that you're here. Okay, very good. So I'm Dr. Becky, for anybody who I haven't met yet. I'm the co-owner of this office, and this is my very, very favorite topic. Isn't that weird? You know why?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So we'll watch that table. Okay. All right, starting again. So this is my favorite topic because I love poop. And this is finally a time where you came in order for us to talk freely about poop, so we're going to do that, okay? So I was a nurse, you know that, an ICU nurse at Parkland for 8 years before I became a chiropractor. My patients know that already. Now there's a part of that career that's not so glorious. The saving lives and emergency part is really awesome and super fun and high adrenaline, and that's awesome. But cleaning up poop all day is not as awesome. And we don't, talk about that part because it's just part of the job, and that's just what it takes. Because, in the intensive care unit, you're usually not conscious. So what happens to your poop? It goes out in the bed. So who's going to clean it up so you don't have to sit in it? Hi. So so that's why. So I've always been very free and open about the topic because I've had it sprayed on my body, on my arm, it's just everywhere. It's just been everywhere in my life. So it's really, really second to your central nervous system. Your digestive system is the next most important system of all of your health and healing. But it's probably the one that we get the most skittish about talking about because it's embarrassing, and we kind of grew up that we don't really talk about, maybe in your family, but most families, American families, it's not like a big free discussion. You're kind of, it's just kind of elusive. Now, some other families, my business partner, AKA, has a Puerto Rican family, and they're very freely talking about farting, pooping, stomach, burping, all that stuff so. That was kind of weird when I went, to visit her family, and I'm like, my God, you guys are just talking. This is so it's super weird for me. But tonight we'll be a Puerto Rican family, okay? So we'll be big and we'll be talking about it. So we're calling our talk tonight Guts and Glory because there is a whole lot of glory when your guts are working well and anti-glory when they're not working well. Would you agree? So probably you came because at some point in your digestive life, whether it's now or sometime in the past life, you've had either something moving too slow, moving too fast, moving the wrong direction, out instead of down, around. So something didn't go or is not going quite right. You don't have to tell your neighbor about what that is tonight. You don't even have to let yourself be known that what we talk about applies to you. You can keep that all to yourself. But I do want you to take a whole lot of notes because this really could be a 6-hour lecture. I'm not going to do that to you. We're going to condense it down to the most important and to the bullet points. But I'll share with you that guess which age group right now is more affected by digestive problems than they ever have been in the past and of any other age group right now? Kids and teenagers. Babies to teenagers. Absolutely. You guys said it, not me. Frequently, the quality of their food is even worse quality than my generation and far worse quality than your generation and your generation. Now, that is even when as a family you make good food choices together, the quality of the soil, the quality of the nutrients, the quality of the seeds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, has damaged the food so much that it damages their digestive system. And then in my generation, we have a high exposure to toxins, higher than in your generation. So then when my generation has kids and we breastfeed kids and we grow kids in our tummies, we have toxins that have built up just by nature of being in my generation. No matter if you've chosen to eliminate them or not, they're still there. So that's passed on through to baby. And then baby is born and is a kid, and now they're already at a detriment with their digestive health simply because it's 2020s, 2000s that they were born in. So it's very sad because our traditional healthcare system treats this problem the opposite than it should be treated in most cases. Well, first of all, they ignore it and say it's normal, or we're going to watch that, or give them Pepto-Bismol, or these kind of things that, like, no one's really having a discussion with you about your kids or yourself about finding what's causing the problem. And this is, you know me, we always want to find the cause of the problem. No matter what problem you tell me you have, we're always going to what's causing it. But absolutely with your digestive health, this is not a system that we want to spend a lifetime covering up a symptom. But that's exactly what's happening, because you can go in any Target, Walmart, or drugstore, and you almost have 2 aisles now with the amount of digestive aids, over-the-counter medication that there are now. But it's the one system that as soon as you can in life, whether it's for your kids or yourself, as soon as you can start figuring out the cause and treating that, the better your entire health will be. Let's look at a couple things. So let's do a quick review of what the digestive system is and what parts of it and how it works. So isn't that a nice looking? So I'm going to go through this part by part for a few minutes. But of course, on top there you have your stomach, and then around the outside here you have your large intestine. The inside looking like worms, that's your small intestine. And then over here you have your gallbladder, which I think that's supposed to be your gallbladder there. And then you have your pancreas up here. That's not pictured. And that's your digestive system. Then of course comes up your esophagus into your throat. So your digestive system starts right here, inside your mouth, phase 1. Your digestive system ends around the other side on the back. So all of it, just these worm-looking structures here are 33 feet long. So when you add the rest of it, you have at least another 10 feet of bowel if you just spread it out all into one long line. Isn't that crazy? That's inside of you. It's totally nuts. But it's awesome. God made your body so incredible. And as you're studying these things and you get into this stuff, like this is kind of an overview. Man, I challenge you to study it more. I'll send you to some videos that you can watch, some YouTube videos you can look at. I mean, you can get real deep into this, and it's super awesome to do that. But let me tell you what this is not. I'm not going to say, here's these antacids, here's these bottles of this, and here's this bottle. Take this, about 60, 90 days, you're going to be good to go. If you're an adult sitting here and there's digestive distress, take a deep breath, release it. It could easily take a year. Okay, so we just let that absorb in. Look how many years you've had building up to this problem. And that's if you did everything perfect to the T. If not, it could easily go to really get that digestive health back on track to 2 years. So it's okay. Let's just kind of relax and settle into that it's a process. And it's okay to go. It's the best process you could ever do for your health, second to your central nervous system. So with your digestive system, this is kind of a really bad drawing, but we're going to use it because it's super functional, okay? Art is not my strong suit, at least not that. Okay, can you see it in the back? Can you see it a little bit? It's a little bit of time. I'm going to talk through it. Okay, so first of all, the moment your digestive system starts working is when there's a piece of anything in your mouth that you're chewing or swallowing. Now, that also means gum. This is why I'm not a huge proponent of chewing gum, because when you chew gum, your nervous system is designed when you start chewing that it thinks food's coming. So you start secreting the enzymes and all of the different parts of your digestive system to get ready to receive food and break it down. And that process starts when you're chewing gum. So then you have things coming out from the cells of your esophagus, your pancreas, your gallbladder, stomach, liver, but it doesn't get any food. That throws off the balance. Doesn't really know what to do. Now we have excess things being excreted. So I'm not the biggest fan of chewing gum. I stopped chewing gum myself about 15 years ago. And also I just think it's a waste of time to just chew on a piece of rubber. I just never really got it. Maybe a mint is better that you can actually dissolve and swallow. So, but that's how powerful your digestive system is. As soon as something's in there, it's ready to go and it starts breaking it down. So it comes all the way down. Now, first of all, we're going to get to your stomach. So that's kind of the big first cavity, right? Now, here's some of this is like myth busting because it's going to like rock you a little bit from mess up everything that you ever saw on TV or your doctor probably told you. So in your stomach, you have a pH level in your digestive system. You guys heard of your pH before? You might have heard things like alkaline water is the best because we need to not have anything acidic and we should all be alkaline. Well, in most cases of the body, that's true, but not in the stomach and not in the large intestine, which we'll come to in a second. In the stomach was designed to have a very low pH of 1 to 3. So like an average pH if you were trying to get to is like 7-ish. Your alkaline water is trying to get to 9 to 10 on the pH scale. Your stomach should be 1 to 3. So that's very acidic. And it's supposed to be like that because it's supposed to kill bad invaders like bacteria and viruses and things that don't belong in your gut microbiome. It's also supposed to be starting to break down food, and especially imagine the kind of food great example. In that glass cabinet right back there, guests, take a look at it if you've never seen it. Patients, in that glass cabinet on the top shelf is a Happy Meal with the burger and fries sitting out. And you know that that's been sitting out there just like that from the local McDonald's since 2016, April of 2016. So how many years are we at now? 6 years. And it does not grow mold. It doesn't get any bugs. No bug has ever gone in there. It doesn't grow anything. And the fries still look like if you were to find a French fry under your seat in the car. That's what they still look like. So that's the kind of food, at some point in our life we all, and some of us now still, have put into our body. So God knew, I believe God knew what was coming. And so if the pH was too high and it wasn't acidic enough, man, I mean, that already takes a lot of work to break down. Can you imagine? So it has to be able to break down anything that you eat in your mouth so that you don't get hurt or injured. Man, that is, you don't get hurt or injured as it passes through. So your stomach pH has to be real low. Another thing, now we're getting real science for a few minutes. The pH of the stomach, when it's low like that, I think I have a picture of let me see if I can skip over here to this picture of the stomach real quick. There we go. So this is your stomach. This is the acids in your stomach. Now right up here, you have a valve. And that's the valve that's supposed to keep the stomach acid down in the stomach and not coming up your throat, up into your esophagus, okay? Called sphincter is another word for that. We'll say valve. That valve is triggered to open and close by many things. It's triggered to open when you swallow, so stuff goes down into your stomach. And it's triggered to stay closed by a low pH in your stomach. So with a low acidity level, like enough acid in your stomach, bringing a pH to 1 to 3, that amount of acid present signals it to stay closed. And that's a good thing because the acid shouldn't be coming up, it should be staying down. So listen, so when you don't have enough acid in your stomach, making it less acidic, the valve does not get the signal properly and it'll open and be looser for things to come up and down. That's called indigestion or acid reflux. So let me wrap that up in a bow. So truly acid reflux and indigestion is because you don't have enough acid in the stomach, not because there's too much acid. The proper amount of acid in the stomach will keep it closed. More acid will definitely keep it closed. Low acid does not send a signal, it opens, things come up. So unfortunately, most of our medical system, and definitely the pharmacy and the grocery store, give you antacid because we feel, and whenever the symptoms started, like it feels like burning. Burning we associate with acid. So then we just started calling it as too much acid coming up because it's burning, therefore it must be too much acid. So let's reduce the amount of acid, so therefore it won't come up. But it does the opposite. If you reduce the amount of acid, your sphincter, your valve is looser. And you have a higher, you're actually making the problem worse. There's no solution in that. You see how that is? It's totally backwards in what you've learned before.
So would you drink more Coca-Cola?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. No. No. So what yes?
How about apple cider vinegar?
I'm coming. You already read my mind. So that's a great way. We'll come to it. We have a whole slide about it. It's a great way to help instead of. So we'll talk about some alternatives of like the top 5 healthiest foods to support your digestion. So while we're on this topic here, we want to, if you're taking a lot of antacids, the first thing is we need to figure out why is your stomach pH low to begin with. Now if you've been taking them for a long time, it's probably too low because you've been taking them for a long time. So now we're going to have to go back and we have to manage your symptoms as you're healing it, because if you just stop taking them, you can't just rebuild the acid like that just because you stop taking them. In fact, all of this I'm speaking to from experience as well. When I was a teenager, I had very bad acne, which certainly was from the diet that we had as a family, but doctors wouldn't acknowledge that at that time, right? So back then, and even still now, they did a couple of basic things. They put you on, at first they did all the topical. Well, that didn't work. And then they put you on antibiotics. And then they put you on birth control, because just in case it's hormone related. So I started taking antibiotics for acne every single day when I was 15. And I took them almost to halfway through college. I was almost 21. And then they said you need to start taking birth control pills because of the acne, and your hormones are imbalanced and your period cramps, so you need to take birth control pills for that. So now I'm taking birth control pills and antibiotics for another 2 to 3 years. So that was essentially about 7 years, I calculated, that I was destroying my digestive system, that I am still to this day right now on a journey still of healing that. So it's real stuff, and some of it is out of your control. I didn't know that. That's what I was told. My mom didn't know that. No wonder. That's just what we did. You know what I'm saying? So when I started, I started as a chiropractic max living patient in 2006 because I hurt my back. And I was at kind of a meeting like this, and I got real inspired. I'm like, I'm all in. I'm 100%. Like, we're doing everything. That's my personality. So I left. I was like, I'm throwing all these medications away. I stopped the birth control. I threw it away that, I don't know which one. I went through all of the antacids. It was probably Prilosec or Nexium at that time. But I took all of them. And so I just got rid of it. I stopped taking it. I was a disaster. And I'm really thinking they're going to be so proud of me, and I'm going to, this is great. I'm going to adjust it. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm going to change my diet. I felt like there was a bonfire like coming up in my throat. Like, it was awful, because I just went off of it cold turkey, and I didn't do anything to help my body go through that, because it had been so long of destroying the pH of my stomach. So I am anti-medication. I'm pro finding the cause, unless it's a medical emergency. You know that. But if this is you, and you or your family member is taking antacids for a long time, I do not recommend stopping them cold turkey unless we have a plan in place to counter and help the effects of it while you're doing that. So does this apply? Raise your hand if this topic applies to you or your family member. Okay, so that is it. So we're going to take an extra 2 minutes on that, and what that plan might look like. In a moment, we'll come to the food part, but your diet change is a massive part of that. Like, we have to get off the fast food, off of the soda, off of the bad healthy fats, processed food that comes from boxes. Just that. Like, we just got to get off of that stuff. That is creating the problem at the root of the day, or antibiotics did. So we got to change that and get to whole foods, and we'll come more specific to that in a moment. We also need to add something to help us to digest and support the stomach, which would be called apple cider vinegar. Is a great option for that. And I have a whole bundle in a moment. I want to talk about 4 products in a few minutes that are going to be able to start the healing process. But I'll get to that in a moment. Another component that's very, Dr. Jaxie, could you hand me a liquid magnesium bottle?
Yes, I can.
Thanks. I'm not about covering up symptoms, but at times while you're healing, you need to. So instead of doing Maalox and Pepto-Bismol and milk of magnesia and all of those things, this is the product, and this is when you have severe reflux, okay? When if you were to stop, you're like, you can't function. Even if you change your diet for a few weeks, this is a far healthier version of those liquids to coat your throat and your stomach and neutralize the acid. It's liquid magnesium that tastes like pomegranate, and there's nothing added or fillers in it like it is at the regular store. So that's not for a lifetime. We're getting to the cause, we're healing, but you definitely would use this for something like that transition. Just little teaspoons right after you eat or whenever you feel that symptom. Okay? So that's one of the ways, well, let me not use that table. Let's use this one over here. So, okay, let's go to the next. There's your stomach. Let's come back. So in your stomach, when the pH is off and there's too little acid in there, you can get acid reflux, indigestion, and that can cause bloating. Okay? Let me go back to the other one here. All right. Now, after your stomach, the food is going to come down, and it starts to progress down to your small intestine. But before you get to your small intestine, there we go. Let's see that effect there. Okay, so your pancreas starts to secrete enzymes as soon as the food comes down your esophagus. So your pancreas is super important. It secretes enzymes that help you break down protein, which is meat, protein powder, eggs, protein that we all need. And it also helps to regulate your insulin, or secretes insulin, but that's a different talk. Diabetes is a different talk. Digestion is tonight. So it helps to break down the protein, helps to break down all food, but specifically protein. So when the stomach acid is off, the pancreas does not get its proper signal to send out enough enzymes to break down protein. Then you end up with some undigested protein going down into your small intestine. Well, when that happens over years, especially when you're a little kid, years and years and years at a time, the undigested protein inside your small intestine, your body starts thinking that that's a foreign invader in your small intestine, because it's supposed to be broken down already. So it thinks it's a foreign invader, it doesn't belong, so your immune system attacks it. But it's not a foreign invader, it ends up being part of your own body. And so what is that called when your own immune system attacks your own body and it shouldn't? Autoimmune diseases and allergies will start happening. So that literally can be the root cause of many allergies, to environmental allergies, to allergies to foods that you eat and responses that you have. Those things can start when you're very little if you're not having the proper stomach acid. See how all these cascade of events come together? So it's very, literally you can even say just by taking an antacid frequently, that could actually lead to allergies if you go through the steps of how that could work. So here's where there's a critical component of healing the gut and healing the digestive system in the proper way. What that could look like in your own life is diarrhea, your poop floats instead of sinking, and bloating can also happen. You also could get pain or discomfort or bloating under the left side, under the left rib cage, up high, right in here. And if you were to push on that area and it feels better to you, and then you release it and it kind of feels worse, that's a sign that that area is stressed and it needs support. So the support that it needs comes in a digestive enzyme. That's the enzymes that you need to supplement because it's not used to releasing the right amount of enzymes. So there's specific digestive enzymes that are needed to support that. All right, then you come over here, and as the food is still trying to come down, your liver starts working. Your liver creates something called bile. We've all heard of bile? That green, it's a bright green substance. And sometimes if you're have a bad food poisoning or your stomach flu and you keep throwing up, there's nothing left, you start throwing up green, that's normal to throw that up after. It's called bile. Bile comes out of the liver, and your gallbladder is designed to hold the bile. It's like a storage unit. So it holds the bile there, ready for when you eat fat. Now, I'm talking about healthy fat, unhealthy fat, all fat. Fat's not an enemy, FYI. Healthy fat is very important for you. But it needs to be broken down specifically, and bile is what helps break down that fat. So the bile is stored in the gallbladder. What happens if you don't have any gallbladder? Yikes, that's much harder for your body to break down the fat because it's not in its storage unit. It has to come out of the liver, try to make its way down to break it down, which cannot come out fast enough, usually in most cases, to break down the fat if you don't have a gallbladder. So even though you may be told, no problem, let's just take out your gallbladder, just a little sluggish, let's just take it out. The only reason you should have your gallbladder taken out is if you're in a medical emergency and it could burst and you could die from sepsis. But the goal is to prevent that from happening in the first place. But otherwise, we don't just want to, prophylactically is the word, meaning like just in case, just want to go taking out organs. All of your organs have a purpose. None of them are, there's no spares. Even your appendix, there's no spare. Definitely not your gallbladder. So that's the gallbladder. Now, if the gallbladder is not working properly due to lack of signals from the stomach acid, due to blocked nerve supply from your central nervous system, from your spinal cord, or due to it's just getting too many stones and you might have to have it out, you're going to start seeing things like bloating, belching, burping. That's the same thing as belching. Floating stool, again, two reasons for floating stool. Your stool floats, you know, because fat floats, right? Muscle sinks, fat floats. So if we're going to analyze your poop in just a second. If your poop's floating, it just makes sense that it has more fat in it because fat floats. Well, it shouldn't. It shouldn't all be floating. There's too much fat if that's the case. So that means you didn't digest the fat properly. So what's the help with and aid with that if that's happening with you? A specific digestive enzyme that has bile salts in the enzyme that's going to help do what the bile would naturally do. If you don't have a gallbladder, it is a non-negotiable that you're on a digestive enzyme that has bile salts in the enzyme. Our Max Living one does. It came out about less than 2 years ago, and I'm in love with it. I've been struggling with this again 20 plus years. I have about 6 different digestive enzymes in my cabinet. I've tried all of them from the best companies, and I was very grateful that ours came out that has pancreatic support, gallbladder bile support all in it, as well as protein breakdown support and basic digestive enzyme support for all proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So I'm a very, very strong proponent of this because I've gone through a lot of this myself. So this is what has those in it. I'm telling you, I'm not even going to touch it. It's going to stay right there. Okay? Now let's say we're going to go down and then we get into our small intestine. So our small intestine has 900 trillion bacteria in it. Whoa, is that even a number? So that's where you call something called your microbiome. Who's heard of that? Let's say microbiome. Nice. That's where all of your good and bad bacteria are all in there. And there's 900 trillion bacteria in there. And most of them are good and beneficial. Beneficial fungi and yeasts. And they're supposed to be in there. And they're awesome because they help you break down your food. They help you the rest of the nutrients so that you can absorb the vitamins and absorb the good stuff for it. So they need to be there. There's also pathogenic bacteria in there, which means bad. They cause disease. They should not be there. They're going to cause you problems with your digestion. There's always a fight, a balance for those two. Well, a couple of ways that we get an abnormal balance means there's too many bad ones, pathogenic, and not enough good ones. The first way is we take antibiotics because antibiotics are supposed to kill bad bacteria when you have a bacterial infection, right? But an antibiotic cannot differentiate between good and bad. So it just wipes out everything along its path. So if we end up, even if you take 1 round of antibiotic, it can take 12 to 18 months for your digestive tract to end up rebuilding and establishing a balance from 1 round. And most of us, especially kids these days, have multiple rounds, back to back to back to back to back. So it just destroys, and you're very rarely told that you need to go through a protocol and a process of healing what that just did. You're almost never told that, are you? Yeah, no, not ever. And so So I'll let you know now, obviously, number one, if you're in a situation with your health where the doctor is telling you you need an antibiotic, the first thing I suggest is ask one of us. Because very commonly, we have other remedies from natural sources that can help with that infection without taking the antibiotic. Very, very commonly. And we can avoid it altogether, especially in children. If it is a situation where you do actually need to take the antibiotic and we've tried everything else, again, tell us so we can help you get a protocol for based on what antibiotic, how much you took, how long, so we can start reestablishing and rebuilding and you don't just suffer consequences of it and never fix it. So that's one way that you end up getting too much bad bacteria in the small intestine. Another way is through your food. Because in our country especially, when we eat any kind of meat, and I'm pro-meat, I'm not anti-eating meat. However, when we eat conventional meat here, what do they put now in basically all meat? Chicken, fish, antibiotics. For years. Now they're trying to say on some of them that they're not putting any antibiotics in them, but I'm sure there's a workaround somewhere in the FDA that they're allowed to put it somewhere else and not here, and they put that label on it. I'm sure there is. But at some point, for many, many years, all of them were given antibiotics. The chicken, the cattle, the fish, the pork, all of it was. So then you eat it, and then you eat what they ate, so you end up getting antibiotics in. If anyone came to shop with the doc with me a couple weeks ago, last month, you might have remembered, and I'll share with everybody, in many food on the shelf right now, in particular I'm thinking about shredded cheese. Shredded cheese that they shred for you. Most of it has an antibiotic in the cheese. And most of it is called natamycin. And that's an antibiotic so that it doesn't grow mold in the package. Because you know when cheese sits out shredded, it grows mold. When it's shredded, it has a propensity to grow more mold. So they just go ahead and put that in there so it'll last on the shelf longer. No biggie. Just put it. Like at Sprouts, even the Sprouts brand has that natamycin in it. The brand called Organic Valley or Applegate Farms, that does not have it in it. Just if you just wanted an alternative. Now it doesn't last as long in the fridge. You got to eat it. But the other one, so they're putting it directly in there to help make the shelf life longer. So those are the primary ways that you're getting antibiotics, whether you're taking them or not, which creates pathogenic bacteria in the small intestine, and it throws off the amount of good versus bad. Well, that can lead to stomach pain, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation. A cascade of effects or when you have a bad bacteria balance in your small intestine. Your small intestine is where the majority of your absorption of vitamins and minerals is supposed to happen. And when there's too much bad bacteria, it's thrown off. It doesn't happen like that. Make sense? The root of the majority of skin issues, eczema, rashes that are unexplained in kids and adults, allergies that you just can't figure out, can't explain, can be traced right straight back to that imbalance of bacteria in the small intestine. And you're able to tell that now through some of the more advanced testing of the stool that's available. I have that available. I'll come back to that in a few minutes. Then you get through the small intestine, you get to the large intestine, which is this funny one here. Do we have a nicer picture? Let's look, there we go. There we go, this outer rim, and that's where it starts looking like poop. And when you come out, that's why the shape of it is formed, and that's where it comes out. It starts looking like poop in this large intestine. The large intestine, the purpose of the large intestine is for you to absorb water. That's where water is mostly absorbed. So when you get dehydrated, that it's because your large intestine is not absorbing the water properly. You are supposed to have a high acidity level in your large intestine. So when someone says you only need to drink alkaline, you only need to have everything, where are we talking about here? We don't want those two major, the top and the bottom, to be alkaline because it's going to throw off the balance of the rest of the system. So I don't think it's a great thing to only drink alkaline water. I think it's a good thing, but not exclusively as your water. Like we need to balance it with the filtered water. I don't do tap water, but you got to filter your water. But not just exclusively that alkaline. You know what I'm saying? Because that'll continue kind of throwing it off there. So we'll skip that. So there's kind of maybe you've never gone through the digestive system like that and kind of broke it down and think about how each thing works together. But isn't that amazing? My gosh, how all of it works together like that. Now, let's go to a couple, let's see. We skip. So through the whole system, you have 3 main parts of your digestive system. Number 1, you need to digest the food, break it down. Number 2, you're supposed to absorb it and utilize the nutrients properly. And number 3, you're supposed to eliminate it. And there can be a disruptive problem in any of those 3 areas or all 3 areas. So that's the importance of healing it and going through the process of that and not just working on only one of the areas. Your nutrients that you take in through your food and through your supplements plays a massive role in the health of your digestive system. Just before we started tonight, I had a patient that I was taking care of about an hour ago. And I was inviting her to the workshop, and she had another plan. She couldn't come, so she was going to watch the video. And this lady is smart. Okay, so she knows, she's been in this holistic lifestyle for a long time. She's a very awesome lady. She's from California, so she's eaten well her whole life. And I'm telling her about the workshop, and she's like, yeah, it's just for my husband. But is it possible just to take the supplements in the bundle and not change the diet? Could he fix it like that? Dead serious. And I was like, and I started laughing. And she started laughing. And I was like, well, I mean, we can get some progress, just like vice versa. You could change your diet and get some progress, but if you actually don't heal using a natural protocol, it's just progress. You're not really going to get there. So I was like, well, I guess if the office was burning down, I could just put the fire out on this side, and then that, she got like, that will stay. So eventually it'll catch up to you. So, you really can't opt out. It's not a menu. You got to really talk about gut healing, we got to do both at some point. She's like, well, let me just get it for him so he'll just start something. I said, okay, so we'll start something. You're not going to hurt you. So that's very important. Another reason why your gut and your health and healing the gut is essential is because 85 to 90%, well, the current research, this is 70%. I was just studying today before I came in 2 other sources which cited 85 to 90%. So between 70 and 90% of your immune system is inside of your intestines. Now, immune system has been a hot topic past 2.5 years, has it not?
Yes, it is.
Is it still a hot topic?
Yes, it is.
One great thing that's come out of the past couple of years is so many more of us had an elevated heightened awareness of our immune system. When 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I would say, what's the immune system? The patient would say, what is that again? I'd be like, oh no, we got to go in. So as a doctor, we're thrilled that we can say immune system. Oh yeah, what do I need to do? And so like we're all engaged with our immune system. Your immune system is what eats cancer cells. You know what I'm saying? Like we all have cancer cells in our body at every moment. Right now, we all have cancer cells. Cancer cells are just abnormal cells. They just abnormal shape. And we don't have the experience of any negative effects of them because of what system? Our immune system. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely critical, your immune system. So now that we're all well aware how important our immune system is, now we can easily make the connection between, well, wait a minute, 70 to 90% of my immune system is inside my gut. If my gut's not healthy, what system is not healthy? My immune system. See how that's connected right there? It's actually been referred to as your second brain. Frequently, your gut is. It has its own immune system, and with its own immune system is intertwined its own nervous system. Well, this is heavy stuff now. So you have your central nervous system, which is your brain, spinal cord, and nerves. That's what's being improved every time you get a chiropractic adjustment, whether or not your neck still hurts, whether or not your back still hurts. Your central nervous system is functioning better to control all of your body better with every single chiropractic adjustment. Now, but within your gut, you have a secondary nervous system that your brain talks directly to and bypasses the spinal cord. It's amazing. But you know this because, for example, when you got nervous, like if you were going to do a speech like this or something, you got nervous, who got diarrhea? God, I've been on the toilet all day. I have this speech to give. I'm going out with a breakup with my boyfriend. I've been diarrhea, and you got diarrhea and you got your stomach ache. We've all experienced that. Well, how does that, why does my colon have anything to do with my emotions? That's because it has its own nervous system and it talks to your brain. Isn't that crazy? Talks back and forth, back and forth. Within the nervous system, you have hormones. Within your nervous system, you have a hormone called serotonin. This is very important. You've heard of serotonin, might be confused about what it does. Serotonin helps you to feel happy. If you don't have as much serotonin, you're going to get depressed. Does that make sense? So 90% of your serotonin is made where? In your gut's nervous system. So if you don't have a healthy gut and you're struggling with depression and anxiety and you never fix your gut, it's almost physiologically impossible to not be depressed. Thank you so much for saying that. The doctor said I can keep taking this medicine, which antidepressant medications have the number one side effect of depression. So it's depression. So wouldn't it, and so the answer is yes, sure, you could still take that medication, but if you've experienced a medication for depression or anxiety, it creates you to not feel anything. And it's affecting especially ones called SSRIs. Those are working directly on the serotonin to try to increase your amount of serotonin. Doesn't it make sense to just heal your gut so you can naturally increase the amount of serotonin? Yes, the answer is yes, it does. And then not have the side effects of the other medication, like you feel nothing. Now, for some people, life has doled major issues to where feeling nothing is sometimes better than feeling whatever we're feeling. Again, still, even the case, isn't it better for long-term health to fix the root cause of the serotonin and naturally start getting more serotonin than a lifetime on pills that make you unable to feel emotion? Now, we won't do a depression whole workshop right now, but those are where some of the root is coming from. So they've even been doing research studies on, this is crazy, poop transplants. So they're transplanting poop from one person to another person to try to heal diseases. And it's working. Transplanting poop. I don't know the mechanism, but they're taking it, I don't know. In big syringes, I don't know. But so there's two specific ones. There was a research study done on serotonin, where they took the poop, I'm not kidding, this was a real study, out of happy people and put it, people signed up for this, and put it into people who were depressed and wanted to, and they felt better, and it worked.
It's a happy animal?
Because it was, because it was a microbiome transplant. The serotonin, the microbiome was transplanted, and they felt better. Now, I don't know if I'd opt for that, or I don't know if I'd recommend. And then a good friend of mine, her mom was struggling, older mom, and she's about in her 70s, and she was struggling with C. diff. That's a very bad bacterial infection that would require an antibiotic in frequent cases. And she was trying to convince her mom, because there were so many studies out when they did it's called a fecal transplant, okay, not a poop one, where they transplanted healthy feces into people with C. diff, and it was enough good bacteria to kill the C. diff bacteria, and they would get better. Wow. Now, her mom never did it, because her mom was like, no way, I'm not doing that. But FYI, that's a thing that's happening. That's how powerful the microbiome is in healing it. It's a thing, okay? So now, how are we going to kind of get some indications that we might need to be more aggressive with our gut healing, other than the fact that you experienced something that made you come here tonight, or your family experienced something? Well, we have some predictable ways we can look and study that. One is your frequency of your poop. Number 2 is your consistency. And number 3 is your color. All are very, very important. The first thing we're going to start doing tonight is all looking in the toilet. I am shocked by how many people don't look in the toilet. Just flush it and go. How did that happen? I don't know. Maybe your mom taught you that was the right and proper thing to do and it was ladylike or something. I don't know. But we can just graduate from that. Let's just move on. I'm not going to drive my car and my change oil light comes on and I put some duct tape over the whole dashboard because I just don't want to see it. I do not want to see it. I can't. It makes me anxious. I don't want to look at it. What would happen if I did that? All of my warning signals would be covered up. I'd break down. I'd be driving a broken down on the side of the highway. Okay, so we're adults and we have some kids here. If you have some kids or you have kids or you're a kid listening to me right now, you can start looking at your poop when you're a kid. Let's teach our kids and grandkids to look at it and to tell mom and dad if something looks weird or it doesn't look normal. So you got to teach them what normal looks like so that if it looks abnormal, they can bring it to your attention. I can't tell you how many kids and families I meet with where I start asking the young person questions. The parent had no idea this was happening to their kid because they just never asked and they never told them because they don't know to even look at it or what to report about it. So we've had like some real eye-opening meetings in those room backs there where parents are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't know that, and then they feel guilty. Let's just teach them how to look at it, and report to you if it doesn't look normal. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
That is so true because I always have poop duty for my dogs.
Okay.
And I always know what's going on with them because of the poop.
Exactly.
I never really thought about that for
A human. You don't think about it.
Yeah.
It can tell you so many things. So many things. Man, the first time I ever really started eating beets, I was like an adult. I didn't eat beets when I was a kid. My mom didn't make that. So I was like, I'm into this, it's about maybe 12 years ago, 15 years, like, I'm gonna roast beets. I'm gonna eat beets, I thought I needed to go to the emergency room. When has anyone eaten beets? It's red, the whole toilet's red. And I was so scared. I was looking up everything and I didn't want to tell anyone. And I was waiting till the next time I go the next day. I'm like, I'm going in. If it's red again, I'm going in. And it was not. And then it literally took me like 3 days to figure out, oh, was that beet? Same thing. Same thing if you ever have taken activated charcoal. I am a big supporter of activated charcoal. If you have food poisoning, if you're throwing up, diarrhea, activated charcoal is a natural. They will give you that to the ER if you go in with a severe. They'll give it to you to pull out. I don't do this, but if you're hungover, you can take activated charcoal right after you drink more than you should, and it'll help bind to some of the alcohol, pull it out, and you won't have a hangover. There's a side note. Hopefully it doesn't apply to anyone in here, but you can share it if you use it. So if you take activated charcoal, though, charcoal is black. So then if you don't know, the first time I was taking it for a detox protocol 12 years ago, and I looked in the toilet, I was like, my God, and I'm a nurse now at this point, so I know black stool means you have a GI bleed and it's an emergency. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a GI bleed, and I'm calling the doctor who prescribed it to me, like, no, it's charcoal. I'm like, oh, right. So if you take charcoal, you will have pitch black stool, and you're not having a GI bleed. Okay, so let's start with frequency. How often should you go to the bathroom? Look at this. This is good. It's good stuff. Here's how you think about it. Okay, think about a train station. 3 trains in, 3 trains out. If you have 3 trains coming into the train station, but only one of them goes out the train station, and then 3 more come in the next day, and one doesn't skip one, none goes out. Next day, one goes out. What's going to happen at the station? Back up. They all get backed up on each other. The amount of meals that you eat per day is how often you should poop.
How about snacks? Does that include snacks?
Well, that makes it real hard to gauge if you're snacking all day. But if you're snacking all day, you should really use the bathroom still 2 to 3 times a day. But it's better to eat meals, though. This is a different talk. But it is better for the digestive system to have time to rest and process what you ate. So it's another talk, but there is an important factor in your breakdown of your food with your enzymes and your bacteria, that it has at least, I'd probably shoot for a 3-hour window, but at least a 2-hour window to 4-hour window between eating so that it has time to digest what you just ate. That also goes against a lot of other things that we've learned, like snacking all day. Yeah, I know. So what I just said, it largely, unfortunately, it probably does apply to most people. Now, truly, to know for sure if you're in a category of needing to do that, you have to take a stool test, a GI effect stool test that I do have here. But that's going to show you if you have too much bad bacteria in your small intestine. Well, just too much bacteria of bad or good, just too much bacteria in there. You have to take 3 to 4 hour windows in between eating so that you have time to break down the food. Otherwise, it's kind of like the trains. It doesn't break down completely. It doesn't pass through. And then you have another meal coming in right there 1 hour later. The other one's not broken down yet. And then it keeps passing, and you keep getting it backed up, more bacteria. It's a condition where you have too much bacteria in your small intestine. Now, I can't recommend that to everyone point blank because you do have to take a stool test to know if you have that, which makes it 100% essential to not eat to have 3-hour windows. But I'm going to tell you, knowing the quality of our food, knowing the complaints that I know you've given me as we've met, it is a high chance that you have an imbalance of bacteria. Unless you've done a gut healing protocol, it's a high chance you have an imbalance of bacteria in the small intestine, which means for that to break down and nutrients to be absorbed, it's better to have a long window to actually be able to digest the food, absorb the nutrients, and excrete it properly. Does that make sense? Yes. So 3 trains in, 3 trains out, 2 trains in, 2 trains out.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
So like in the morning, what I've been doing the last 4 or 5 months is having the whey protein with
Yes.
fruit and whatever else.
Yes, you have.
Okay, but I'm not having a bowel movement within 3 to 4 hours after that, before lunch,
Mm-hmm.
Am I supposed to?
Yep. Yep. Within 4 hours. Maybe not even 3 to 4, because that's already highly absorbed already. It's a smoothie. So, Now, if you have a large bowel movement right before you start eating it, you might not. It might take a little longer to eat more than that. But if you hadn't had one yet in the morning, oh yeah, that should be stimulating it real quick to come through. Yep.
Can your stomach develop a memory? Like, I go at 5:30 in the morning, and I go about 10 o'clock at night, and regardless of what I've eaten that day, it still comes at about that time.
Well, that's good. That's a good balance. That means you're having a predictable bowel function. Probably you're eating similar. If you go a day where you eat nothing, you won't have the same quality and amount of stool the next day at the exact same time. It's impossible because it didn't go in. So you probably are just eating regular and pretty similar the majority of days. And yes, your body, that's a good sign. That's regularity. That's a good sign when it does that. Your body also is responding to your nervous system that's inside your gut and inside your brain. Because you have a nervous system that allows you have 2 parts to your nervous system. Maybe you learned this a long time ago. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. And the sympathetic nervous system is the one where, like, if someone broke into the office right now, or a tiger came in and they were chasing me, and all of us had to react because there was an emergency, that's called fight or flight. You might remember that from high school science. That's your sympathetic nervous system. When you're in that fight or flight, now that can also be caused from chronic stress all the time, job stress all the time, emotional stress all the time. Doesn't have to be a tiger. And when your nervous system is in that mode, your gut stops. You're not supposed, if you need to run from a tiger to save your life, you cannot be bothered with pooping. Do you understand? But that's how smart your brain is and your body is. It's gonna slow that system down. You stop digestion almost completely. If it's true emergency like that, you won't go. You probably didn't even notice if you were in something that you don't ever have. Hold on, man, I gotta poop. You don't do it. It doesn't happen. So you're not supposed to do that. But what if you live in that level of chronic stress, fight or flight all the time? Well, now it starts calling constipation. Because now that signal is constantly coming to your stomach. Don't poop, don't poop, don't poop. We're in an emergency. Emergency, stress, high stress. Well, that's supposed to be a short window, and that's supposed to be over. So part of this is getting to the cause is evaluating our life. Everyone looks in their pocket. That's so funny. It was like 4 people looked in their pocket. It was 1 pocket. So everybody looking at our life, we have to figure out, like, am I living at that level all the time? Why? And what do I need to do differently about it? Do I need to get out of a toxic relationship? Do I need to get a new job? Do I need to get some counseling? Do I need to go back to church? What do I need to do? So totally, again, different talk, but you see how that's connected there. Did you have a question on that topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I read somewhere, whatever, that stress really never leaves your body. Is that true? Have you ever heard that?
I've not heard it said in that way, and I don't know that I would totally agree with stress never leaves your body, but I also come from a spiritual perspective of that. Like she mentioned, like if you experience a trauma, the memory of the trauma is never going to leave your body, but the visceral, which means internal organ-related reaction to the trauma, I happen to believe if there's a healing that's gone through, whether it's counseling, therapy, spiritual, Holy Spirit, whatever direction you take that, I happen to believe that you can receive freedom from that. And I've seen that and I experienced that on my own. And maybe that just hasn't happened in your life in the proper way, but I do believe you can. And I've experienced it and I've seen it too, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What happened when, like you explained to somebody, you get nervous, what happened? What happened the opposite, like me. Everything that scared me, I need to go to the bathroom. It is fight time that somebody broke whatever, right away, I need to go to the bathroom. I want to go poop.
It's a different nervous system reaction. So before we talked about, it's a valid question. I really appreciate the authenticity with questions about your poop. This is a safe place to ask that.
When I was little, it's still the same.
So it sounds like it's a different nervous system reaction. There's a different reaction between feeling like nervous and stressed, like makes you have diarrhea, like you're going to give a speech, or you have something that makes you, between that and a true fight or flight. A true fight or flight that you feel like you're going to die, that's the one that creates a sympathetic immune system. Like my life could end and I might die. Like it could be, you're probably having a little bit more of the nerves, like the nervousness, feeling anxiety, kind of feeling like I need to save my life and I need to protect my life.
No matter
So
if it's scary or it's happy, whatever it is, I need to go to the bathroom.
okay, totally different problem then. Yep, that's it's most likely it's an imbalance, and a lot of us have that. It's almost certainly an imbalance of bacteria in your digestive system. Almost certainly, when you have diarrhea like that constantly. I'm going to come to that in a little bit more detail in just a moment too.
So whether happy, sad, relaxed, stress, you only experience maybe a bowel movement once a week, at most. How do you address that? Because that has been my issue.
That's
And
a lot of
as a
people's
teenager,
issue.
It was like
Yep.
once or twice a month. So
And that's a whole lot of people's issue. And so give me 60 seconds and I'll come back to that one. Because I do want to give the counter discussion on the sympathetic system where if I need to save my life from a tiger, then my bowels will stop. But what we want to be functioning in is the other one called the parasympathetic, which is when you're chill, when you're like just normal. Well, maybe normal is like that for you, but you're like relaxed and you're happy and you're able to just experience life. And that's called your rest and digest. So that's when you can digest your food properly and better, when you're not in that state all the time. So those are the two different ways that looks like. So now we're going to move on to her question. So there's several things involved with that. And it could take me about 3 hours, but let's narrow it down because it's most people right now. Number one, and this also pertains to if you're a guest in the office. Number one, we're going to refer to this nervous system chart here, your central nervous system. That's where your brain controls your function of all of your organs to your spinal cord. If you have a blockage to your nerve flow from your middle to lower spine, if there's a blockage to your nerve flow and the brain can't send the signal clearly down that spinal cord going out to your intestines, you will not poop normally. Might be diarrhea, might be constipation. It's more commonly constipation, but it might be both. So that is number one, and that is addressed through chiropractic care and your home care therapy exercises. Okay, now if you've had this for your whole life, it's probably not the case that chiropractic care is going to solve that in a week or a month. There's other components that have to be addressed at the same time. That's number one. Okay, number two, there's a bad bacteria imbalance. There's probably too many bad bacteria, not enough good. And when you have chronic constipation, your poop might look like the top left, which is round balls or lumpy sausage-like. It's together, but you can identify the round balls that have come together. And that looks like that and happens, or it has really dry and very, very firm with big cracks in it. That happens because, remember we said the large intestine is where water is absorbed? So if there's not enough water being absorbed, that is going to contribute to why the stool looks like that, and it's not passing through properly because it's dehydration. So we have bad nerve flow, we have too much bad bacteria, unbalanced stomach acid, and then we have not enough water. There's a fourth component, and I was going to get to it in a few moments, but I'll address it now. That means lack of movement of the human body. Our body was designed to move. Like if you think back to hunters and gatherers, that's what I always do, or when Jesus was alive, no one drove from one place to another. Like you walked. You got up everywhere you went. You had to walk, do something, squat down, lift up. Like that was life. No one did this. No one watched TV. Like we moved. Your movement of your external body promotes movement of inside of your gut, your small and your large intestine. So if we've spent many years at a job that we're sitting often or standing in one place, that is not good signaling to your digestive system. It's not going to get the signal to move. Oh my gosh, I know. Because your body physically isn't moving. So movement is the fourth component there. Now, you can start exercising, anyone who has constipation, you can start exercising tomorrow, and you'll probably see a difference. It might not do completely 2 to 3 times a day, but you'll almost certainly see a difference. You can add water, which your goal of water is half of your body weight in ounces. If you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water a day. 150, 75 ounces of water a day. Minimum standard, especially if you have constipation. So if you change those two things, you'll probably notice a difference in your poop within a week to 2 weeks.
Say that one more time.
The water, half of your body weight in ounces. So you weigh 200 pounds, you take 100 ounces of water a day, spread out throughout the day, not all at once. Yeah.
So obviously in the spirit of transparency for me.
I love it.
Here is,
Okay.
I don't have constipation, but I don't have 3 trains in and 3 trains out. So it's not even necessarily every day. It could be every other day. I remember talking with my doctor about it, and one of the things that she mentioned is like, well, maybe you're a slow digester.
Oh my God.
And so, but make a recommendation of like a mix of like oatmeal and like some other things that kind of help with movement.
Mm-hmm.
But although it's not every day,
Mm-hmm.
it may not even be every other day. It may be twice a week or maybe 3 times a week.
Okay.
But it's never constipation.
Okay. I don't know you well. And if I knew you personally better with a relationship, I'd feel much more comfortable with what I'm about to say. You do have constipation.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great point. So our definition of constipation by our medical professionals has gone totally awry. Totally. If you don't use the bathroom at least once a day, you are constipated. You have constipation. you experience, maybe you experience constipation. It doesn't have to look like this, but the fact that it's not moving through as it should means you're experiencing constipation. I believe what's happened is so many people experience this constipation that we just went ahead and changed the definition without saying so in the medical community, to where being like, yeah, that's just how you work. That's just for you. No. You don't have a different way than you have it. Like, that isn't kind of the best approach. That's like, I see a curvature in your spine developing when you're 9. We're just going to watch it. It's okay for, like, it's a red flag. It's a check oil, check engine light that let's do something and figure it out now before it becomes pellets or it becomes once a week that I can't, and figure out those root causes. And I don't know that it's through anyone's medical doctor's fault of their own. That's what they're learning in school and what their journals are talking about, because it's so prevalent. It's just like blood pressure. Well, diabetes is so prevalent that now it's not talked about like it's really bad anymore. It's just like, well, yeah, it's your time. Here's your stuff. It's just because it happened. Well, it's like you know what I mean? So I sense that's what's happening, and I sense it because when I do sit down and meet with people for the first time, and to become a Max Living patient, this is a very common conversation. Do you struggle with constipation, diarrhea? No. And my next question immediately is, how often do you have a bowel movement? Oh, once a day, maybe every 2 days. And somewhere along the line, we're getting convinced that means that it's normal, we're not constipated. So that's what I would say. So you actually do have that, and let's not let it become worse. That's what I would say for that. Thank you for sharing that and your honesty. We really appreciate, everyone's learning, because even if you don't ask a question, I can guarantee you 90% of the room has experienced the exact same thing somebody else said, or your family member has. You can use the Bristol stool chart, which you have a copy of in your, doesn't look like this, looks a little bit different. But just keep this, take a picture of it, have a family meeting about it. Like, let's just bring it up to the table. I can just imagine you and all those boys. Like, you all need to lay out this poop chart. She has like lots of boys, and that'll be, so we talked about number 1. Let's just go through them briefly, what they can mean. Number 1, when you have little hard round balls, that is very clearly a severe constipation problem, lack of water and hydration. Number 2, it's the round balls, but they came together, like in a sausage. But you can see the balls, you can see or maybe it's not a ball, maybe it's in a funky shape, but that would be a constipation as well. Type 3, that's like, it's in the shape of a sausage, but it has very hard, dry, and cracks in it that you can really see deep cracks in it. When you have enough water and hydration in your stool, you should not see those giant, deep cracks in it. Just very, very light ones. So that would be type 3. Type 4, and can I see someone's chart? Because I have a different version up here. Let me see your chart real quick. Make sure I'm telling you the same thing. Type 4, this stool chart is a little bit behind us, doing that the cracks, no, type 3 is normal. It kind of depends upon how deep your cracks are. If they're real deep, and a lot of them, is not enough fluid in them. If they're surfacey and light, then it's probably normal. Type 4 is the most normal. Smooth, soft sausage, or like a snake. It's kind of all together. If it all stays together, that's like, you ever had the ideal perfect poop? Who's had that before? Like, it all stays together, comes out in one time, and you don't even, when you wipe and there's nothing on the toilet paper. Yes. That's the perfect poop. Yeah. That's how they're all supposed to be. It's true. It's true. I know. Ring the bell. Let's ring the bell. That's the perfect one. I love it. So you gotta laugh. Okay, now we'll move on. Type 5. So we have, you can share with hers. So I can. Type 5 is like blobs. They're like soft, like blobs. They have clearly defined edges, but they're all like separated blobs. That can mean that you're lacking some fiber. Fiber is kind of holding the stool together and bulking it up. So we're not eating enough fiber. I'll come with a great way to eat fiber in just a second. Type 6, that's when it's just real mushy. It just has raggedy edges. It just falls apart and kind of just like disintegrates. It just, if you flush the toilet, it looks like you had diarrhea almost, because it all just disintegrates into brown liquid. So it's really, nothing's really holding it together. That can also be lack of fiber, but most likely it's inflammation in your digestive system. Inflammation will primarily be caused by an imbalance of bacteria that we need to heal and too much sugar. You're eating too much sugar. And then type 7 is clearly diarrhea, which is just complete liquid consistency. There's no solid pieces in it. And that would only be normal like if you had food poisoning or you ate something that had a bad bacteria, but if chronically when it looks like that, is the reason is inflammation. And from the same 2 reasons, but just more chronic and over a long period of time. If you have a change between constipation, hard round balls, diarrhea, nothing, change back and forth all over the map like that, that's really bad. That means it's been going on for many years. There's severe inflammation and certainly an imbalance in flora, meaning bacteria in the GI system, and you need to immediately start healing it. That if you leave that in check and never do anything, you can end up with a bowel blockage that would send you to the emergency room. And so sometimes that's not a thing to mess around with. We need to take action, get the nerve supply working on that, get your body moving, get water, and start the gut healing protocol. Yes, sir.
I can testify that I had an operation where I had to be on antibiotics for like 6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Got to the point where I couldn't have a decent bowel movement anymore, to the point where I had to go to the hospital.
Because it was a
I couldn't have
blockage?
a bowel movement or urinate because everything was so blocked up.
Oh my gosh, sir. You could have died from that. Thank God you didn't. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It can become very serious situation when you're, yes.
Are you gonna discuss it further down gas or how that flows? Or, we don't want it to flow right now, but how?
Yeah, and I meant to say, and I should have just used a different word. Thank you for reminding me. When we were looking at the drawing, like the bad drawing with the symptoms, every time it said bloating on there, that goes together with gas potentially. Frequently, higher amounts of gas there's a disruption in the small or the large intestine. So gas is happening most of the time when the protein is not digested or the fat is not digested properly. When that's not digested properly, remember that starts in the stomach. Not enough acid, meaning not enough enzymes come from the pancreas, not enough bile comes from the gallbladder, and so protein might not be broken down and fat might not be broken down, but definitely protein. When it's not broken down, it stays there and it becomes rancid. And so the rancidity of it produces off gases. And that's what ends up traveling through, and that becomes some of the primary cause of gas. In addition, imbalance of bacteria in the large intestine. That adds now on top of the gas that was because the protein didn't get broken down or the fat didn't get broken down properly. So gas can be a symptom of several different components. It's not just there's one situation with it. So yes. Okay, no, wait, that's a great question. No, that's a great question. No, don't, no. So that's a good question because I know what she was asking and I know what you're asking. No, it is normal to have some amount of gas. If you never passed gas, you would die. Literally. So if you don't pass gas like almost never, that's a really bad sign, just as much as too much gas. So you should pass gas like several times a day, and it should not smell. That is a healthy gas. It's just air that's come through, natural byproduct of several foods, vegetables, and it just, that's natural. I don't know, remember the number, I did at one point, maybe it was like 10 to 15 times you like have little farts throughout the day, maybe you don't even know half of them you did it, because they shouldn't smell. But when it's like, it never stops, like it's constantly throughout the day and it hurt and it smells all the time. Now that's bad gas. Does that make sense?
What about the gas you get from drinking kombucha?
Well, that is different because you're drinking, whenever you drink a carbonated beverage, well, their CO2 is in there and that's what's making it carbonated, and then you drink it and of course it's got to go somewhere. So you'll probably burp from it or pass gas. And that you drink a kombucha. So if you drink something that was carbonated, that's very normal. I don't recommend carbonated constantly all the time because of that. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a quickie question. On type 6 bowel movement, you said that is too much sugar and something else.
Inflammation.
On the inflammation, it was something else.
A little bit of potentially not enough fiber.
No, thanks.
Yep. Yep.
Is there any such thing as taking too much fiber?
Yes.
Because I do take fiber supplements.
There is definitely enough thing as taking too much fiber, and you know by when you take fiber, if you don't feel good, if you feel bloated and gassy and full, and you don't feel good, that means that your small intestine has way too much bacteria, bad, and fiber is not good for that. So you got to pay attention to how you don't only just take fiber because everybody should take fiber supplement. You should be eating food that's higher naturally in fiber and not have to take a supplement, ideally. But you have to see how do you feel when you take the fiber. And then if it's bad, you stop taking fiber and let's just get it through food. And you talk to me separately. At the end of the day, you need to do a test. You need to test the stool for that kind of situation.
Why do you get diarrhea from taking a lot of vitamin C?
What time is it? I'm just kidding. Vitamin C has properties in it that, I know, I can't. I got to just move the table. Vitamin C affects your fluid absorption and excretion internally. So like when things draw in water, they draw out water. So it ends up drawing a whole lot of water towards it. And when you get a lot of water coming into the large intestine, it's going to come out like diarrhea. So it's pretty normal though to get diarrhea when you take vitamin C. I don't say stop taking vitamin C, but we just got to maybe back off on the dose a little bit. Now you can tell some information from the color. It should be brown. That's how your stool should generally look. If it's green, that means that you have bile in the poop. And that means that you did not stop and digest food properly. It just went straight on through, and the bile did not have a chance to break anything down, and now the actual bile itself is being shown in your stool. That's not a good thing either. That means inflammation and imbalance of bacteria. So we shouldn't see green in the poop. White stool is an emergency. If you have white stool, you need to go to the doctor. That means you could have liver failure or a very severe liver problem. So white or clay colored, don't stop here. I'm going to tell you to go to the doctor. You need to have that checked out. You need to check to make sure you're not internally bleeding or your liver's not failing. Black stool, other than iron supplements or charcoal, those make a black stool. Other than that, black stool is also, you need to go to the doctor or to the emergency room. That means you're internally bleeding. That is dangerous, and we don't mess around with that. Okay? Bright red stool is a little different. If you have a couple of bright red drops, or if you have a few bright red streaks, that is almost always an internal hemorrhoid or an external hemorrhoid. That has either just the blood vessels have burst a little bit and it'll heal, and it's usually very rarely considered any type of emergency. If it's just a few, like a drop or two at the end of it, or if it hurts when you go, like feels like glass, like shards of glass, that means you have a hemorrhoid inside or outside. And it's just blood is coming out of it. So there's multiple different types of, I don't think you need to run to the emergency room for that, but you should either let myself or your doctor know, and so we can help increase the fiber and allow the stool to pass through without straining. That's what we got to do there, is allow it to pass through without straining. Coconut oil up inside the anus or rectum can help decrease inflammation of hemorrhoids that are active. You just use your little finger caught, you know how to do that. And then yellow stool, it can be caused, well, it's normal in babies, but sometimes certain foods can be, or if you have an infection, like a gut infection or food poisoning, that could be yellow. That's probably not as common.
Can we get a copy of that?
Why don't, I don't have a cup. Can you take a picture of it? I can, we got to figure out how to get a copy of that. I can't get a copy of it for you tonight, but I can have one at the office for you next week. Yeah, that we can do. That's a nice color. Can I go on? Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's kind of talk about a couple of the solutions when we're looking at dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is the fancy name for when you don't have a good balance of bacteria. That's called dysbiosis. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. What was your question?
I am so sorry.
That's okay.
I meant to ask this earlier.
It's okay.
Sorry, men in here.
Oh, sorry, men in here. Female question. That's okay.
When we start our cycle,
Uh-huh.
I often don't have anything. I go to the restroom all day for water or any other type of drink, but the bowel is
Slows down
almost
when you
gone.
start your cycle. It's normal to speed up. It's normal to have a little diarrhea.
It'll back up first, and then it'll speed up like once the flow stops.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into that one. I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't want to just give you a generic answer. But it's not normal. It's definitely normal to have diarrhea around that time because of the change of it. But it sounds like the nervous system between your brain and your gut nervous system is responding to the hormone balance in an abnormal way. So probably that comes down to the hormones are off, sending an odd signal to hold. Yeah. So I would recommend that if that happens to you or anyone else, that you're proactive coming up to that. Like, we do eat a lot of foods with high fiber. You do drink extra water, drink extra exercise. And another great, this is not a root problem cause, but it's a natural helper to help your body go more, is taking magnesium. No, I would not do prune juice. The reason is because of the high sugar. Lots of sugar in prune juice. So I would not, there's far better ways to do it without getting all the sugar. This magnesium, or a magnesium at Sprouts called Natural Calm. You heard of that before? It's very popular at Sprouts and health food stores. It's a white powder. You mix it up at night and you drink it like a tea or any time of day you want to, in hot water, cold water. And I would start doing that if I was you, just a couple days before you know your cycle's going to start. I would just take a cup of Calm every night just to try to get it going until we figure out what's going on with the hormones. Or something like this, magnesium. Magnesium is a very good, gentle, excellent way to help your bowels moving, keep moving. It doesn't fix the cause, but it's a natural, better way to help them if you're finding that you're struggling with constipation. This one, or Natural Calm, which is at Sprouts. What's that? Yes, no, you're welcome. So in the meantime, even doing that, we're going to come and address the dysbiosis, which really is where to do the gut healing process. So when we do that, when we reset it, okay, we're going to run through a couple things I've already said. Remember I said earlier, you can't opt out of changing your diet and only take supplements, nor can you only change your diet and not take supplements to heal. It's our day and age, you can't do it anymore. Used to be that you could just take a probiotic and everything's better in life. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work anymore. We're too sick. Guts are too unhealthy. It does not, very rarely does just one probiotic solve the problem anymore with the level of gastrointestinal distress that I see you experiencing. So that's why we got to stay up with the times and adapt with what's needed in healthcare. So top 5 gut healing foods, apple cider vinegar is going to be number 1. That's taken a teaspoon in a glass of water. Take it before you eat a meal. That can definitely help with the unbalance of acid situation in your stomach.
How much, 1 teaspoon?
A teaspoon to a tablespoon, whatever you can tolerate. 1 teaspoon, 1 tablespoon. Yes, ma'am.
I am prescribed Nexium. Even with taking that, it's okay to do that.
Yes, I would do that. You should do that in hopes of a goal of trying to get off. If you wanted to get off, then we start using apple cider vinegar. Yeah.
That's per day.
Yeah. You can take it every time you eat. If you really have at least once a day, but if you really have distress when you eat, reflux, digestion, gas, bloating, just take it before you eat.
And what was the portion?
One teaspoon to a tablespoon. You'll know what you can tolerate. Yeah, I would mix it in water. It's real hard to do it straight. It burns. It's hard to do. Some people can do it straight, but I recommend water. Just a glass of water.
Mixed up with everything now, you know, they got blueberry,
Yeah.
ginger in it, and turmeric.
Yeah, and those are all good things too. But just, you can do plain apple cider vinegar, or you can mix up in that stuff, but it's real hard to take it straight. I mean, that's tough for people.
Is that good for constipation?
Apple cider vinegar is great for constipation, all digestional distress. It helps to balance the GI tract, and it helps with digestion.
Should it be like the organic one?
Oh, thank you for that. Yes.
Not the regular
No,
apple
thank you for
cider?
saying that. It has to say with the mother on the label. And whether they're the best brand in my opinion is called Bragg's. It's a yellow label, Braggs. I'm thinking if I have one in there already. Okay. There's a drink Bragg's, there's salad dressing Bragg's, there's amino, there's lots of, anything with Bragg's on it is a great thing to buy. But that's the best apple cider vinegar, and it should say on the label, even if it's an off-brand, it should say with the mother. And at the bottom of the apple cider vinegar should be floating things that you might think look bad, but it's good though. That's the good natural fermentation process of it. So with the mother, yeah, you can shake it. Okay, healthy fats are great because they contain great fiber in it, and healthy fats aid in your body. Now, healthy fat, what is the difference? What's an unhealthy fat? McDonald's, canola oil, French fries, fried anything, fried chicken, any fast food restaurant. What's a healthy fat? Avocado is probably one of the best healthy fat you could ever eat because of the amount of great fiber it has in it, the amount of antioxidants it has in it. It's excellent. Yeah, fish, nuts and seeds, healthy fats are great for inflammation in your digestive tract. Probiotic rich foods. Okay, this is great to help balance and get a healthier dose of bacteria into your system because majority of people have too much bad bacteria. So as a way of life, we want to get our palates used to probiotic rich foods. I would say from 1, 2, 3 years old, start getting probiotic rich foods. Now, if you've never done that, it's a shock to your taste buds because it's things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir. It's not yogurt. So yogurt is the way too easy way out. Activia is my least favorite thing to eat at the store because it's loaded with sugar, which negates the effect of what it's doing. It's trying. You can't possibly get the amount of good bacteria that you need in a yogurt that's filled up with sugar. That's much better if you make it yourself. Plain yogurt is better. The best way for probiotic rich is in a kefir. Kefir is a fermented dairy beverage that has far more good bacteria than any yogurt does. Kefir. Will you stop? Let me give you a hint to do. Remember what I just said, if you don't get your palate used to it early, it's hard. It tastes very tart. It tastes like, I don't think it tastes like this anymore, but at first it might taste like spoiled dairy, but it's absolutely not. So here's a great way to counter it. Ready? I promise, especially if you get kefir from goat's milk, that is more palatable. Kefir from goat's milk, and it is at the health food store. But if you put that kefir, as soon as you put that with raspberries, I don't know what happens, but the tartness of both like cancel each other, and it's suddenly sweeter, and I can't explain it. I don't know what it's from, but something happens and it's suddenly more tolerable, both the raspberry and the kefir. Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. Yeah, no, I just pour kefir right over berries. I just put raspberries and pour kefir over it, and I use a spoon. Or you can blend it up if you want to, like a smoothie, for sure.
And his smoothie works. I do it like that.
Just come here and tell him. Jasmine hates talking in front of people.
Yeah, no, but I do the smoothies, and I put it like, as a milk, I put the
Kefir?
The kefir, yeah. and I don't feel the taste.
I'm telling you.
I don't drink it a lot. I just drink it in the smoothies.
And somehow so she puts her kefir inside of her smoothie, that can also negate it. So there's ways to get it in without just drinking it plain, and it's very beneficial. She mentioned kombucha. That's a great option. I wouldn't do kombucha every day because it does have a natural sugar content, but half a day, a few times a week. Kombucha is a fermented tea beverage that actually you have to be 21 now to buy it because alcohol is created in it by the fermentation process. If you didn't know that. Many brands of it, you have to show an ID. But I would still take that because it has a lot of good bacteria in it, kombucha. Anyone else have a good probiotic-rich food I forgot to mention? Can I repeat them? Sure. We got sauerkraut, kimchi. We got kefir. Pickles are great. Anything pickled. Anything pickled at all. Yep. Kombucha.
Can it be a sweet pickle?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to think no. I think it shouldn't be. Something's done to make that sweet. Just eat the pickles, Ruth. Kimchi in the store.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah, you can make your own or you can buy it in the store for sure. Kimchi is it's an Asian food that's cabbage and carrots and a couple other things like cabbage and carrots. That's fermented, yeah. It's like a side dish at many Asian restaurants sometimes. It's called kimchi. Yeah, it's a great one. Okay, next one. Let's go. Bone broth. We're about to wrap it up. Bone broth is absolutely fantastic for starting to heal the gut lining. Woo, baby. It was so important that I put a recipe in your packet for you. And I'm doing that to promote you making it yourself. Because if you haven't noticed, everyone's catching on that bone broth is very healing and it's everywhere. You notice now? It's everywhere in the store, on every shelf and everywhere in the store. Oh, it's all over the place. And it's far better to make your own and way cheaper. I'm talking way cheaper to make your own.
In the store, it's also got lots of sodium.
It does have sodium frequently in the store and extra things that may not need to be in there to preserve it on the shelf. Now, if you're doing a bone broth cleanse and you're going to add one from the store, you're going to cook with the bone broth instead of stock, all of that's great. But if you're going to take a bone broth and eat it for a full day, like 24-hour cleanse with bone broth or 2 days, which I do recommend that a couple times a year, you want to make your own using the recipe that's in there. It's very specific. It's very easy to use. And it's like $25 maybe for the whole entire pot rather than for one little serving, which is almost what it is if you do it at the store. Bone broth. Now, another way, and probably more effective way to get bone broth is to use the Pure Path bone broth protein powder. Most of you got something like that when you first started here or you've been stocking up on it. Our bone broth protein powder has a very specific patented way that the bone broth is called hydro beef. It's way that where it's extracted from the meat from the cow. So it's very pure. The cow has been grass fed and grass finished. There's no fillers in it and no isolates. So I think that's a little more efficient because then you get a lot of other nutrients in it at the same time. And you can mix it up in a smoothie, and it's a little more palatable than eating soup all the time. Yes, sir?
What is grass finished?
That's a great question. That's an excellent question. So a lot of times, this is really important. A lot of times, everyone's heard now of grass-fed meat before, right? We all know that's a better option. But unfortunately, the powers that be and the FDA and the USDA Organic, et cetera, they are now allowed to put that label on meat, even though the cow has not lived its entire life as grass-fed. It only has to live 70 to 80% of its life, and each one is a little different. Each year it changes, eating grass, and then they can fatten it up with corn or feed at the end and still put grass-fed and organic on it. So you have to know now, best is going to a farm and actually knowing the farmer and where the cow came, but we don't all have that luxury all the time to go and do that. So now there's not even very many at the store that say grass finished. Sometimes they do, but it's because it's more expensive because now they made it more affordable. Well, there's something they did to make it more affordable. What did they do? They did something. They made it fat. They fattened up, got it processed through quicker. So grass finished means that it was definitely fed grass and never corn or feed through its entire life until it died. From start to finish. So a little more.
What's the frequency of bone broth recommendation?
Well, I recommend doing a full cleanse, like once every 6 months, like where your whole day to 2 days, you're just eating bone broth and nothing else, just clean it out, rest and digest, decrease inflammation. But as many times as you can get bone broth into your diet, the better. That's why I love the smoothie, because you can eat that every day, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and you're getting the benefits of the bone broth for gut healing. As many, you can't really overeat it. Berries are fantastic because they have great fiber, great antioxidants, and very little sugar. They're awesome for your digestive health. And they're still in season for a little bit longer. They're going to get higher in price about November. So take advantage of these last couple months, stock up, freeze them. You can buy a box of blueberries and just freeze it. That's what I do now. Instead of buying frozen blueberries, I just, when they're on sale for like $1.99 or something, I just freeze the boxes. So we go ahead and, did you say shut up? Yes, yes, I'm not going to shut. That's what I started doing. When they're on sale, like June, July, berries are on sale. Heck yeah.
You just take the whole box and stick it in the freezer?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I thought you had to wash each one of them and put them out in the.
No. Well, I wash them, but I mean, I don't.
And then you put them in the freezer, and then you can put them in a bag.
I wash them, I let them sit in the fridge, they dry. I use an apple cider vinegar rinse like I taught you at Shop with the Doc. And then I just once they're dry, I just put the whole box in the freezer. I'm sure maybe there's a better way. That's what I do. I mean, probably you should put in a freezer bag and prevent freezer burn and all that, but I don't have time for that. So I just put the whole box in the freezer. Yeah. Ginger is I think we did 6, so not 5, but ginger is also anytime you can get ginger. Now I'm talking about ginger from the root, not the powder. From the root is where you get the benefits of the healing effects of the digestive lining and the digestive acid content. It helps to neutralize. Ginger is fantastic for stomach upset, any kind of digestive distress. Yeah. Ginger tea, you could just cut off some ginger off the root, put it in hot water. That's ginger tea. It's not fancy. Super cheap, anytime you can get ginger. So while we're doing that, here's what we're going to close with. The way that the gut goes through the healing process is called the 3 R's. This would be a writer-downer. The 3 R's you want to remember forever. You can teach it to your family. Okay, the first R is called remove. Remove means you got to remove the overabundance of bad bacteria or imbalance of bad bacteria. You got to get rid of it. So that's called remove phase. Remove phase, now, I probably have about 7 more minutes of this phases, and you'll be very clear with it. But I will add, the phases I'm talking to you about right now are for majority of people, gut healing. It will not hurt anyone. It will only help. But if you need or you're at a point that you're ready to get more specific than what I'm about to say for your individual body, your individual digestive tract, on a protocol that would be 3 to 5 months or 6 months, depending on what you need, we have to do testing for that. Okay, so what we're going to go through right now, everyone can do it. If you are ready, though, because the digestive stuff is so severe for you or your family, and we need to be like, I have got to get this very customized for my own needs, we got to send your poop into the lab. That's called a GI effects stool test by Genova Labs. I offer that now here. You collect your poop. Jasmine, do you have that kit, please? You collect your poop. If you choose to do it, I can go through with you and we'll show you how to do it. You collect your poop and then we send it to the lab, and in 3 to 4 weeks it comes back from the lab and it's been fully analyzed for parasites, all the different bacterias, hundreds of different bacterias, pathogenic and good bacterias, and about 50 other biomarkers within that poop that's going to help to give you an idea of where we're at on the scale and what we need to be done about it. That's advanced lab testing. It's not for everyone. Not everyone's ready for it. This is the test kit what it's called. And when you get a result from something like this, it has these like poop tubes. You collect your stool in a special way that I'll tell you how to collect it, and you fill up these containers and we send it off. Okay? It's $700. It comes back, we go through and we figure out, it tests for you what supplements your bad bacteria are susceptible to. The lab does it. So you get to know like this exact product or this exact product is customized for my poop and my problem. So that's the big dog. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. If you have a problem pooping though, and you have the tubes, what if you can't?
Well, you wait until the one time you go. No, I'm serious. No, a lot of people do that.
Can you take an enema and make something?
No.
Something natural.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just wait. You just wait until what you do if you're seriously and you're like, how in the heck would I do that if I have, so you line the toilet bowl with saran wrap, but you don't let it touch the water, but you also don't make it flat. So you make a bowl with it, or you'd be sitting in it, you make a bowl with it, and you sit down and try to go. And if you have 2 bathrooms in your house, do you have 2 bathrooms in your home? Okay, then skip that. So if you have 2 bathrooms and you want to do this, you just leave one toilet, just leave it in there for when you're ready to go, in case you have constipation, you don't know, you're not predictable like he is times a day. Okay, so, but if you don't, you just leave the saran wrap right there next to the toilet, and if you feel like you have the urge, quick go in there, put it in there, try to go. If you don't go, get up, try it again when you have the urge again. You could take some magnesium to help you. That's the only thing you could take to help you go. That won't mess up the result, but enemas don't work because they'll contaminate the result. But that situation is also one that really needs to do it because you got to get some more dive deeper in there. Okay, so that's not for everyone, and I know that, but it is always available. Jasmine at the front desk tonight, if that's something on your radar, we have a list that you can write your name on, and I can call you and talk to you separately, confirm that's what we need to do, how we would do that for you, and then you can do that like next week, okay? Now, outside of that, for everyone just to get started, if you're not ready to do that, or we just got to get started and like we can't just do nothing, and if you do nothing, what happens? You get worse. Okay, so remove phase. For the general population of us, we will use Max GI. Max GI is a very powerful GI that allows your body it penetrates the cell wall, the wall of the bacterial cells, the bad ones. And it goes in there and like punctures it so it kills it. And it can differentiate between good and bad. It's a very powerful supplement called Max GI. So we use that as the killing phase to try to help kill bad stuff off and preserve the good. The next phase, next R, is called repair. Well, once we've killed off the bad guys, we're still left with an unhealthy gut lining, are we not? So if we just throw a bunch of probiotics at it and the lining is still bad, the probiotics don't heal the lining. They just put good bacteria back in. So we got to heal the lining. Healing the lining is done with 2 digestive enzymes for the reasons that we explained, the bile support, gallbladder support, pancreatic support, stomach support, all in one digestive enzyme, and the Gut Renew powder. Gut Renew powder is about 5 high-quality supplements in one powder. Very efficient for your budget and your time to put all of them in one. It has things like aloe vera juice already in it, things that are okra already in it. These are very well studied and researched for years to start sealing the lining of the gut. Did you see that other slide? Do you see this right here? This would be right here. This is like the lining of your gut. This is the inside. And when this gets broken, you might have heard it called leaky gut. There becomes separated openings in here, and it becomes inflamed. It's very well researched that all of the ingredients in Gut Renew powder put into one heals this lining and decreases inflammation. So we use that combined with the digestive enzyme for the healing component. Repairing component. And then the third R is called re-inoculate, or in a little easier language would be rebuild or repopulate. Now that means we got to put the good bacteria back in now. We got to replenish it, get a healthy balance of bacteria, and where probiotics are wonders at this time. So that is done with the top left called Probiotic 50B. That is a 50 billion strain probiotic, and it's been tested in the lab, the one that we use here. Majority, almost all probiotics at the store that claim to have 50 billion or 40 billion, once they're sitting on that shelf and they test it again, you only come out with about 10 billion to 20 billion. They die, even the refrigerated ones. These ones have been developed that almost all 50 are there after it's been on the shelf and been tested. It is what says it's in it. It's very powerful probiotic. You know if you've taken it before that it makes a big difference. You take it, right? You can tell when you don't take it.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the 4 ways on the average person struggling with anything related to digestive function to get started. Healing the gut. We want to start healing the gut. It relates to every health function that your body has. Does that make sense?
Are those taken in phases like you just said, or it's all?
When we do this one, we take it all together. When we're doing if we have the test results and it's very specific, that is typically done in phases of 1 to 2 months, then 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then 5. Yeah. So that depends on your individual results. This one can be done at the same time. So last note to take. This isn't a note, but the first thing is the bundle. Every time we have a workshop, you already know if you're a patient. Everything's on sale. If you need to stock up on any of your vitamins, on anything else you want to try, everything is 10% off. The bundle itself for all of these is 15% off. Normally those 4 products are $190, and tonight it's $160 for that. I made a basic bundle that was the advanced bundle that we just talked about. I made a basic bundle also if we just need to do something that is, and we not leave it. If you can do the advanced, do the advanced. It's a far better process. The basic is just the probiotic and the digestive enzyme. So at least we're doing something to move forward instead of just leaving information. We have no problem with an abundance of information here. Do we not? We can get all this information everywhere. We generally have a problem with action, not absorbing information. So we got to take some action towards our digestive health. So now, the last note on that is, let me write down, Jasmine, I think, printed this for you, but I'm going to describe it real quick so you've heard it from the doctor once. How do you take these things? Okay, this is how you do it. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you take Max GI. As soon as you wake up, you go pee, you take Max GI, in that order. Totally empty stomach immediately when you get up, Max GI. Okay, then with your breakfast or smoothie, or at least 30 minutes later when you're running out the door, that's when you go ahead and take your Gut Renew powder. That can be plain with the water, or it can be in a smoothie. Doesn't matter.
On the basic then, which one is the basic two, if you, the basic program?
I'm going to say those last 2 in right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's great. Now, so your digestive enzyme, you take your digestive enzyme before every single meal. Not before every snack, before every meal. If you
Not before breakfast. Before breakfast.
or right with it. Yeah, it's a meal. Like the Gut Renew powder and the digestive enzyme? Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
What if you only eat 1 meal a day?
We should eat more than that. So that's you should eat another meal, even if your other meal is a bone broth smoothie. Even if that's your other meal, you're not able to get all the nutrients that the human body needs in 1 meal a day, unless You are morbidly obese and you're on something to, your life is on the line and we got to cut the calories. You are not that. Nobody in this room is that. So you cannot get all the nutrients that your body needs, nor all of the fluid and hydration that it needs in one meal a day. So at least if it's a smoothie. Okay? So we're going to get, if you forget your digestive enzyme before you eat, just take it as soon as you remember. Half the time I'm taking mine with the meal because I forget.
When you say before, 30 minutes?
10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, just before, yeah. Don't get too stressed out about it because then you're like, this is too stressful and I can't do it. You know, I carry they have these little Ziplocs. They're vitamin packets at Sprouts. They're this little big of a Ziploc bag, this tiny little bag. I have 3 of them filled with digestive enzymes. One's in my purse, one's in my office, one's in the house. They're all over the place. So I have easy access to them all the time. And then the probiotic 50B, you take that at night before you go to sleep. That's the order of how you do them. So no matter what bundle, it's probiotics at night, digestive enzyme with the meal, Max GI right when you wake up in the morning, and then gut renew powder in the morning with the smoothie.
What does this talk about prebiotics? Because you hadn't mentioned that.
No, and I haven't mentioned that one for a reason. And the reason is because I don't think everybody should generically be put on pre or postbiotics without testing. Because not everyone needs that. Sometimes it's too much bacteria and you don't need it. I just really feel strongly that you need to have testing before you're getting that specific. It's just throwing more, you know what I'm saying? Just throwing more. This is the basic that's needed to start the healing process, to move the needle. You might need to do this for longer than a month. This is a month's supply. You might need to do it for longer than a month. I don't know how, it's not going to hurt you at all to do it. So I would plan to do it between 1 and 3 months. Now the bundle is for 1 month only. And you see how you can talk to us. When you start it, let one of us know. We can help guide you. If your specific situation should go 1, 2, 3 months. If you're on 2 months or 3 months of it and nothing has changed, then we need to do the testing. I mean, we can't keep guessing. That's why I brought the testing into the office, so we don't have to keep guessing. And people are just sick. I mean, there's just too many things going on, too many exposed different things to not start doing the testing. Okay? So that's how it works. Now, there are like a sad number of bundles left up there because the FedEx guy didn't come today. I think because of Labor Day. So maybe there's like 5 or 6 or something. But there's plenty of rain checks ready. The discount applies for tonight, and I'm certain the truck is coming tomorrow. So you will definitely have it by Monday. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Now, if you give me something real quick in this folder, give me this folder real quick here, dear. If you have this folder, that means maybe you're not under regular chiropractic care at this office. If you are somewhere else at another Max Living office, that's awesome. If you're at another chiropractor somewhere else, it better be advanced corrective care, or if not, you better open up this folder here, fill out this, where's that card? You already filled it out? No, look at her, she already filled it out. You have this, you don't have a card in there. Jasmine, can you come here, please? Fail. Appointment card, I don't have it here. Jasmine, Dr. Anna is going to have those at the front. It's a card. You can schedule yourself an appointment to get this nervous system evaluated here at the office if you've never had that done. If you've never had that done, we definitely need to do that because you cannot eat your way out of a bad nervous system or take supplements out of a bad nervous system. That will never work. Can't exercise your way out of it either. It's completely life-changing. So Dr. Anna, come here for a second. If that's you, I know there's 3 or 4 people here. Dr. Anna has those cards or she has the schedule. She's right here, like walking her way, and she can schedule up an appointment for you. There's a discounted cost for an appointment tonight. It's $50. If you want to come to the office, normally it's $150. That would include a consultation with one of our doctors, a full exam, full history, and a set of x-rays if needed, which 99.9% of the time they are. And so we'll cover the cost of those things with $50 because you came tonight. And then we can figure out where your nervous system stands and what needs to be done about that first and foremost for your health and your ability to heal. So Dr. Anna can set you up, give you the paperwork and everything for that, and make your appointment very efficient. Maybe it's 45 minutes, maybe to an hour. Does that sound good? And that same price will apply for you or any family members that you would like to come with you tonight, even if they're not here with you. Sound good? Okay. Cool. You guys are amazing. How do you feel? Great. Feel great about your poop? Aren't you excited to go look at your poop tonight or tomorrow? Oh, I can't wait. I'm happy to look at any photos of poop that you want to show me. I'm very happy to do that. Okay. It's okay. You can just text them in. Yeah, just Instagram, just post it, tag me. Just kidding. You guys are amazing. I'm so proud of you. Next month, your next workshop, I hope to see all of you here. Next month, our workshop is on immunity. So immune systems of steel. Ready for